And I extend to you the warmest, juiciest possible welcome to this very special episode, because it is all about the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, which starts on Sunday and which I think everyone needs to be as locked into as they were for the Men's World Cup. The stakes are high. There are World Cup qualification spots on the line. Glory, of course, for being a continental champion. Ask Nigeria. They have done it 10 times and know all about that. And this episode will feature a very special interview with NWSL two-time MVP and Golden Boot winner Temwa Chawinga, who plays for the Malawian women's national team. And they will be competing in WAFCON for the very first time. I talked to Temwa all about what that means, talk about stakes, the opportunity to possibly not only maybe win WAFCON, but qualify for the Women's World Cup for the first time. This is a competitor, and you're going to hear all about how she's approaching this tournament, the level of excitement that she feels to represent her country, and how playing for the Kansas City Current has helped her prepare for that. We're also going to give you just the nuts and bolts of what this tournament means, how it works, what the tables are looking like, maybe a few matches that we think you need to be circling on your calendar in red ink. And when I say we, I am also referring to my co-host, my partner in crime for this episode, producer Theo Lloyd Hughes. Theo, I have not had a chance to officially, vocally on air welcome you back, but welcome back. I know you've been back, but welcome back to this episode.
Yeah.
And how are you doing?
I haven't been back long, and you were in full athletic World Cup mode in Chicago.
True.
So we haven't really crossed paths as much as we would have liked. And obviously, when WAFCON was coming around the corner and the opportunity to get Temwa Chawinga on the show was coming around the corner, you and me
Everyone comes out the woodwork.
We had to get back together for the collab.
Right. It's like that meme where it's like reuniting with your friend and you kind of act like you're coming back from the dead.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very much
so
that.
It was exciting for both of us to have the WAFCON episode to bring us back together. And Temwa, it doesn't get much bigger than that.
Truly.
Tamara, and you're obviously a WAFCON stan, but for those who are thinking, hey, maybe this is my first WAFCON, let's just get the basics before we get to Temwa. WAFCON 2026, where and when is it happening? What do people need to know?
Yes, so the tournament kicks off this Sunday, as I mentioned, July 26th, and is hosted again in Morocco, who, if you tuned in last year, yes, it was only 1 year ago. It's a bit complicated,
what a
year. Morocco also hosted the 2025 edition of the tournament. They actually also hosted the tournament before that. So this is their third time in a row hosting this tournament. The last one was back in 2022. South Africa won that one. Nigeria won last year's. And now we're going to be looking to crown another champion. I won't necessarily say new because I still think Nigeria are favorites here. But the group stages last from July 26th to August 6th. Quarterfinals last from August 8th to the 9th, just 2 days of action. Semifinals are on the 12th. Playoffs. Yeah,
so this is a good part to jump in. So the quarterfinals on 8th and 9th will decide who gets 4 automatic World Cup spots.
Yes.
So this is a big deal. It's not just glory, continental glory, a trophy these teams are playing for. This is also going to decide who is going to Brazil in 2027. So those quarterfinals on the 8th and 9th of August will decide who goes and gets the automatic spots. And that playoffs, Tamara, on the 13th is who gets the extra 2 spots, which are going to be the intercontinental playoffs. So there will be essentially 6 tickets to Brazil. 4 of them are automatic. 2 of those tickets will be to a playoff against other federations. And so the 4 losing quarterfinals will go to a repechage playoff on August 13th. So August 13th, you can also put in your calendar as a very spicy day of football. And then, of course, the grand final on the 16th of August as well.
I actually love that. And this feels pretty unique because I feel like in the past, these playoffs for World Cup qualification don't happen within the tournament. And I love that for people who, like me, sometimes struggle with the drop-off in high-stakes games once you leave the group stage. Yes, double stakes. And so even if you lose in the quarterfinals, you still have plenty to play for. And I'm not just talking about a possible, this is more than like a third place medal sort of thing. There's still a lot on the line there.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And while we talk about, so the 4 semi-finalists will go to Brazil. I think when we look back to the last edition, which like you said was just a year ago, those 4 semi-finalists were Nigeria, the eventual winners who defeated host Morocco in the final. Then we had Ghana, and then we also had South Africa. So hypothetically, if we do see a repeat of last year, those could be the 4 teams going to the World Cup. While we're talking about repeats, Nigeria are going to be going for an 11th WAFCON. They're also obviously going to be wanting to go to the World Cup. Mara, who are you feeling maybe some of the favourites, the teams people should know and look out for coming into WAFCON 2026?
I mean, we've mentioned Nigeria. Mm-hmm. I will never forget their iconic Mission X from last year when they were on the hunt for their 10th.
The Roman numerals WAFCON for 10, in case anyone doesn't know. But I'll just, maybe I'm stating the obvious, but I thought I'd put that on.
No. That's helpful context, because X is it's like the most mysterious number.
Yeah.
And letter in the alphabet. It's the most mysterious figure. So Mission XI doesn't have the same ring to it, but there is no doubt that they are still looking to secure their 11th continental title. If you want to do a little bit of extra credit, I highly recommend watching the highlights from the Nigeria-Morocco 2025 WAFCON final. It was cinema. Okay. On that note, though, Morocco now are 2-time WAFCON finalists while hosting. So imagine what it means to host this tournament, now going into your 3rd straight year, and not being able to bring home the trophy to your home fans.
They were 2-0 up at half time.
Yeah.
And then they lost 3-2.
Don't spoil it for the people watching the highlights. But yes,
go back and watch the game. Go back and listen to our podcast from last year.
Yes.
But, Morocco, they've got some scores to settle this summer.
Mm-hmm. And I find it hard to believe that they will be hosting a 4th time. So it's really feeling like now or never for Morocco, in similar ways that it kind of feels like now or never for the Washington Spirit. I know we're talking about WAFCON, but there are a lot of NWSL players who will be competing in this tournament. So the cross-pollination has meaning behind it. Nigeria, Morocco, definitely 2 teams to keep an eye on. Zambia got knocked out by Morocco in the last WAFCON quarterfinals and will definitely be looking to reestablish themselves. Barbara Banda, Rachel Kunananji, Priska Chulufia, many other Zambian players who are playing in Mexico, some in Europe, many on the African continent. That's a team with a lot of promise. And I already mentioned Temwa Chawinga, who will also be playing with her sister Tabitha, who plays for PSG. There's something about a WAFCON debut, or maybe just an international tournament debut. I'm looking at you, Cape Verde, on the men's side, that gives something to a team.
Cabo Verde making their WAFCON debut on the women's side.
Yes.
This summer. Perfect transition from Tamara.
Mm-hmm. Possible Cape Verde era that we're entering into on both the men's and women's side.
Cabo Verde summer.
Yes.
Tamara, I think you set up the Chawinga sisters. You've set up this idea of debut tournaments. This is the perfect time. Let's bring Temwa in.
Perfect. It is always an absolute pleasure to welcome back onto the show 2-time NWSL.
Because we know what we need to do. If we need to go to World Cup, we need to beat that kind of teams in Africa to go to World Cup. So everyone knows okay, if we need to go to World Cup, we need to achieve this. We need to pass these group stages. So everyone knows no matter what you are doing. Yeah.
Totally. And I imagine that because it's Malawi's first time competing in WAFCON, teams like Zambia and Nigeria who played each other in the last WAFCON, they're very familiar with each other. Yeah. They've competed against each other. There's some history there. And sometimes I think in football, the team that doesn't have any sort of history sometimes is the most difficult team to play against because you might not know exactly what you need to be on the lookout for. You don't know how certain players are going to take their penalties because there's not that much tape yet.
Yeah.
So I can see how, and as we've seen all throughout the summer, whether we're looking at NWSL or the Men's World Cup, you cannot take anything for granted in football because you can be surprised the second you think that you have a game. So I think I'm not going to call it the group of death, but I do think this is the group that everyone needs to make sure they are watching every single game because it's going to be so entertaining.
Yeah.
Nigeria, of course, are the reigning WAFCON champions, but you will also be facing off against Zambia, and that is a team that Malawi is very familiar with. They're regional neighbors in Southern Africa. And even though it will be your first time playing against each other in WAFCON, you are very familiar with each other as national teams. Can you this is technically a rivalry, right? Should we be considering Malawi versus Zambia and WAFCON a rivalry, Temwa?
Yeah, I think it was the way it is, we are a neighboring country, we know each other, we play a lot of friendlies, we play in Kosafa, the games. So like we know, like, okay, if this game we lose, like sometimes we lose, sometimes we go there, we win, sometimes we draw. Like, so we are going to AFCON, like if the team we know like what we need to do. Like Zambia also we need like to qualify. Both we have already been in World Cup, so we know like in this we have already also been in like African Cup of Nations. We know the tournament is tough or what. As is the first time. So like we're just going there like to compete, like to do our best, like no matter what, like forget about the player. It was so painful for the players because like it was like a little chance, like a little close like to go to qualify, but it didn't happen. So like this time, like everyone was going to national team, we know like we need like just to work hard, like to qualify, to be there, like the way like our neighbor national team Zambia, they there a lot of times. So as also like the players, we know like we need to do much, do better. Like, you need to qualify for this, like, this tournament to go in 2026. So, I'm really happy for the players, the way we will show up, the way we work hard. Like, we have, like, a lot of young talent, young girls, like, we show up in the national team, like, we play well, like, to have a team, like, to qualify, like, who help us to qualify those 15 Zim who scored 2 goals, like, to make it in the AFCON, to go to AFCON. So I'm really happy for the team. Like every player you show interest. Like you need like to do this, you need to do this. So like everyone know how Lou like to do like more. Like so I'm like just happy like to have like that kind of like girls, like young girls, like have that like height like for you need to win more. So I'm really happy like we're going there. Like we're going just to do our things, like to win the games, like to go fire and go in another round of the stage.
Yeah, I know that you've been in the game long enough to know how even with the heartbreak of not achieving your goal as a team, sometimes you just end up turning that into motivation to do more and go further the next time, as you said. So congratulations to Malawi for using that, the past times that you failed to qualify as more motivation and fuel to get here now. You know, you mentioned some of the younger players on Malawi who it sounds like have really stepped up in the qualification process to get to WAFCON. I want to ask you about one in particular, Faith Chinzimu. We've been hearing a lot about her, but for, again, people who might not be familiar with Faith, how would you describe what she brings to the Malawi team?
And somebody she's so hardworking because like every time when I go to national team, I mean, she come out to me to ask me, how can I, well, that time she was playing like in Malawi, she asked me, how can I do, like, if I go to professional, what can I do, how the life? So I explained to her that just think, like, just go there. I don't think much about home because, like, you know, we have, like, problems at home. Like, you just go there to work, like, to find something, like, to feed home. So, like, you're not just thinking, like, when you go professional, you're thinking about